And welcome to Victory Talk Radio here on Victory Radio. I'm John Baldwin, and this evening I am pleased to present a new gospel rock band. They're called Cry for Salvation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're really glad to be here.
Before we get started, kind of introduce us to who's there this evening, and I think there's a couple of band members that aren't there, so just tell us about all the members of your band to start with.
Alright, I guess we'll start with me. I'm Christian, the drummer. And, that's me.
And, I'm Matt, the lead singer and rhythm guitar player.
I'm Hannah, and I am a backup singer.
And then we have Daniel. He's the lead guitar player. He's not with us tonight. And Titus is what we call him. He's not here. He's our bass player.
I failed to mention when I started the show, I saw you guys in a concert a couple of weeks ago, and it was just a great show. And you got a brand new CD out that's called Bright Light Shine. So tell us a little bit about the new CD and the process of making it.
We actually started writing the album, or I guess the EP, very long time ago. And some of the songs that are on there that put to the side, didn't really play some, and we brought them back when we were actually looking to write down exactly what songs were going to go on to this project. And so these are the songs that we thought that I guess were appropriate enough to be our first release, to get our name out there, to be our first project. And it was really neat. It was actually our first time going to an actual recording studio. We've tried recording demos or singles and stuff by ourselves, just in the garage with some programs, Logic and GarageBand and such. But none of them turned out as we had planned. They all kind of, weren't good enough to really release to the public. Some people got some copies, but we've tried to get rid of most of those. But anyways, we went to the studio called Final Track Studios in downtown Roanoke. A really cool guy named Skip Brown. But it was really cool. We went in there. He's worked with hundreds and hundreds of artists. A lot of them were country artists, such as the band Perry. He worked with the Beatles tribute band. He worked with Stephen Curtis Chapman. That was a Christian band he worked with. And so he was really cool. We walked in there and set our music up. We did the music first. Just started playing all the music, no vocals, and then we went back and laid the vocals over top of it. And, it was about an 8-hour day to record, and then it took about a week to get it back with all the mixing and mastering and such. And then from there, we designed the album artwork and had that sent off and got the CDs in the mail.
Tell us a little bit about the title cut of the EP, Bright Light Shine.
Bright Light Shine, it's kind of it's a song basically saying, through the darkness, Jesus, his bright light will shine. And that's really the whole concept of the song, is just talking about being in a dark place, or not necessarily dark as in physical, black room, but it could be anything, whether you're hurting, pain, loneliness, whatever. Just saying that God's light is going to shine on your life. And so, out of all the songs on the CD, that was probably one of our favorite songs that was on there, because it's fun, it's exciting, it's loud, and so and then just the lyrics about being in a dark place and God's bright light shining down on you or on your life. Those just spoke to us, and we just decided to name the EP Bright Light Shine.
Well, let's take a listen to that now, and this is my favorite song on the CD. It's actually, I think you opened with that at the concert, and that was, I was blown away by this song. This is Bright Light Shine by Cry for Salvation.
help me pull through. Cloudy skies, they open wide. Your light is shining through. And all my sickness, it's on your shoulders. Lord, will you carry me through? Let your bright light shine, your bright light shine through. You light my world, you light the way. Let your bright light shine, your bright light shine through. Your fire burning here in this place, and let it shine. My arms stretched wide, seeking out your grace. And all my pain and all my doubt, you'll carry me through. Let your bright light shine, your bright light shine through. You light my world, you light the way. Your bright light shine, your bright light shine through. Your fire burning here in this place, and let it shine. We are on fire. You are my one desire. I'm living for you today. We are on fire. You are my one desire. I'm living for you today. Let your bright light shine, your bright light shine. You light my world, you light the way. Let your bright light shine, your bright light shine. Your fire burning here in this place, and let it shine. Let it shine.
Well, one thing I love about that song, it's got so many great elements to it. I love the opening drums. And to me, it kind of has that classic rock feel to it from like the late 60s into the 70s, which I'm an oldies kind of guy anyway. And I also, when I saw you perform this live, I noticed Hannah was using the tambourine, and in my opinion, any song that's got a tambourine in it is great. So,
Yeah, we've had some people that would disagree.
disagree with that.
That disagree. They're just like, why are you using a tambourine? That thing's so loud. And but no, we love it. We think it's definitely a really cool touch.
I think it adds authenticity to it. And
Yeah.
oh man, I mean, there were songs about tambourines, the Green Tambourine, Tambourine Man. So,
Yeah, but that song's actually really cool because when we were writing it, there was so many different ways that we have played it. I actually wrote it originally as an acoustic slow worship song. And then when I took it to Christian, our drummer, he said, "Nah, man, we got to rock this thing out." And he just started, beating on the drums, and there was a bunch of different drum beats and everything. And then probably a week maybe before we went into the studio, Christian decided, hey, why don't we try this, high, or I don't know the drum term for it.
The paradiddles.
Yeah, the little paradiddles he has in the beginning. He said, why don't we try this? And so that sounded really good, so we went with that, and that's how it all came about. It was just kind of piece by piece and week by week, just kind of throwing stuff in there, making it sound better.
Well, every good song has a hook, and I think the drum at the beginning really hooks people in. It's something different. It's not something you hear every day anymore. It used to be back in the day. You'd hear that a lot, but sadly missing in today's music, as is the tambourines. Now, tell us a little bit about how the band came together, because you were telling some of the stories at the concert, and I think it's just fascinating how the Lord brought all of you guys together, and gal.
Well, I'll go ahead and start out. Me and Matt, we used to be the youth band at the church that we went to when we were in like middle school and high school, and we would take the summers off because there'd be no youth group because school was out. And there was a summer, I guess it was back in 2009, I went to a Christian summer camp, and the band that actually led that summer camp is they're called Rush of Fools, and it wasn't long after that summer they exploded. They went all over the radio, and their music went real big, and they became real popular. But back then they were still kind of small. And 2 or 3 nights into that camp, I remember watching them. We do like daily worship every night before we come in and do our Bible studies, and I remember watching them play. And something just clicked in the back of my head, and I just realized that's what I wanted to do with my life, was play worship music, everywhere we could, and anyone that would listen to it, instead of, just Wednesday nights, do a couple of songs for some kids, and that was it. And so when I got back from camp, I called Matt up, and I said, hey, let's take the youth band and make it a real band. Let's go out and actually, worship with people and take God everywhere we can. And he was totally down with the idea, and we've just been rolling with it ever since. And we've gone through half a dozen singers, and it seems like hundreds of bass players. But ever since basically that summer, it's been me and him, and working with whatever we've got, and just running headstrong and doing whatever God leads us to do with our music.
Yeah, it's really neat though, because I guess our band's story kind of starts with me and Christian. I was a big bully back in middle school. Christian is actually one of the kids that I would bully all the time. And even at church camps and stuff, push him in the snow, and we made him lose his glasses one time. And then it was actually that trip on the way back. I believe we sat together on the bus. Was just making goofy sounds and stuff like little kids do, and we found out we both played instruments, and we became real good friends after that. We've been friends ever since then. And when he was talking about us taking this youth band to the next level, we didn't really have a name. We just kind of went as the youth band, and we played in front of Walmart. We played in front of Sweet Frog down here at Westlake. We played tons of churches.
We almost died playing in front of AutoZone.
Yeah, in front of AutoZone, and it was probably 10 degrees outside. And so then we decided we needed a band name. And a Christian, we tried and tried. We've always heard that if you take a dictionary and you throw it on the floor and run over and put your finger on whatever word it is, that's your band name. And so we tried that, and we've got some crazy stuff, grape, and so we just realized that that's not how we need to do it. We need to research in the Bible and actually find a true purpose or a true meaning for the band. And I'll let Christian take over. He's actually the one that actually had found and originated the band name.
And so basically I did the whole flip through the dictionary thing, except I did a flip through the Bible, and I sat down and I prayed about it, and I said, God, just throw something in my face. He hit me with something. And I dropped my Bible in my lap, and it opened up into the book of Psalms. I remember just going through a couple of different verses and reading some passages, and then I just stopped, came to a complete dead stop on Psalms chapter 85, verse 7. It says, "Show us your unfailing love, Lord, and grant us your salvation." And it was one of those weird things where it stuck in my head and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, well, maybe that's what I'm supposed to hold on to. And I didn't quite figure it out at first. And so I wrote it down and I prayed about it. And over the next couple of weeks, I just kept thinking about it and thinking about what it really meant and why it was that particular verse that stuck out to me. It just clicked on me one day. I might have even been in a low place in my life. I'm not entirely sure how it all came together in my head, but the whole verse to me was like a cry out for salvation. I feel, at least in my belief, in my experience, that our entire lives should be a constant moment of us crying out for salvation, lifting our hands to God, and every moment of our life should be worship. Whether it's music, whether it's just taking 5 minutes out of your day to talk with God, or whatever we do. And so that really stuck with me. And then just the words "cry for salvation" came out of that, and it sounded cool, and it means a lot to my heart still to this day, 5 years later, but that's where the name came from.
Neat. Well, Hannah, how did you get involved with the band?
As you know, I'm dating Matt, and for a while I was going to Vitalized Church youth group with him every Wednesday, and I think they had just lost a singer that they had previously had, and Christian kept nagging me, saying, you need to join the band. You can sing. Let's go. Join the band. And I was like, no, thank you. I thought about it, and I prayed about it, and I finally said yes, and I just said yes because, I just wanted them to stop nagging me about it. But after I had, gone to some band practices and we did a few shows, I realized that this is God's true calling for me, and that I've gone through a lot of stuff through my life, and this band and worshiping God every week, every day through my mouth and singing the songs that we sing has changed my life. And that's just a really amazing feeling to know that just by saying yes to Christian and Matt, it's really changed my life.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get ready to play another song here. This one's called "You Are Yahweh." Tell us a bit about that song.
Actually, Matt and me wrote that together in the usual format that we write all of our songs. One of us gets a couple of words on a piece of paper and sends it to the other person and says, hey, make a song out of this. And so I was actually walking around a store one day, and some of the words just started kind of forming in my head, because music is with me everywhere I go. Music is a huge part of my soul and who I am, so anywhere I'm going, I'm usually tapping my feet or humming to myself or whistling or doing whatever I'm doing. So I've always got some kind of rhythm to whatever I'm doing. And so I was walking through the store one day and just kind of humming to myself, and some of these words started rolling into my head. I started, writing them down on my phone as I thought about it, and I started to get the feel for the rhythm of the song, and, got through, like, a good part of the verse and wrote a couple other lines that could have been a good bridge, and kind of got really, really into it and was like, oh, this sounds really cool, and then kind of hit a brick wall. I was like, couldn't get any farther with it. So I sent the words over to Matt and said, got a really good concept for a song. Basically ran by him, what the song is about and how God is just so many awesome things in our lives, and all the cool things he does for us. And I think my favorite line in the song is, I would be a dead man if I didn't know your name. And it's such a simple thought, it's such a simple concept, but the true repercussions of just that thought are just baffling, that if we didn't know God, I mean, we would be dead in our transgressions, and there'd be no eternal life for us. And such a simple thing is just acknowledging that he is who he is and following him with our lives gives us eternal life. And it's kind of where the song focuses, and it means a lot to me. This is probably my favorite song on the album.
nation born. We are ready, Lord, to collide with your grace. Let's hope, speak to me, teach me all your ways, and lead me home, lead me home. Oh my God, you are everything, the everlasting King, and you are great, greater than anything that I have ever seen. The stars are shining, and I am reminding your glory down on me. Oh my God, you are everything, the everlasting King, and you are great, greater than anything that I have ever seen, and you are great. And I would be a dead man if I didn't know your name, and oh, you Yahweh, you Yahweh. Let your light shine down on me. Let your light shine down on me. Yeah, yeah, light shine down on me. Let your light shine down on me. Yes, light shine down on me. Let your light shine down on me. Yeah, yeah, light shine down on me. Let your light shine down on me. Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, you are everything, the everlasting King, and you are great, greater than anything that I have ever seen, and you are grace. And I would be a dead man if I didn't know your name, and you are Yahweh, you Yahweh, you Yahweh.
Tell us where folks can find you online.
You can actually there's quite a bit of places. The first I think I would say is Google. If you just Google "Cry for Salvation," our Facebook page is actually the next search engine that pops up. So you could just click on that, and it would send you straight to our Facebook page. That's where a lot of our communication or what we're pushing most in the social media is our Facebook page. But we have all kinds of different things. You can go onto Instagram and follow us on our Instagram, just Cry for Salvation. You can go to Twitter, just Cry for Salvation again. You can also email us at cry4salvation@gmail.com. Which that would be really cool. We try to encourage people to email us and or message us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter to let us know how we're doing and let us know how the fans are doing. More importantly, we want to be connected to our fans and hear their stories as well as they like to hear ours and where we're going with our music and stuff. We also want to stay focused on the people as well and have a one-on-one connection with our fans. So let's see. There's CD Baby. You can go on there and buy our music, and we're working on getting it on iTunes. I've said I would release it on the 26th of March, but that didn't work out as well as I had planned. we're doing it through this website called CD Baby, and there was a lot of things that went wrong, and so I'm still working those out. I was told that they started the distributing on Monday, and that it should be in there within a week. So I'm hoping by next week our music will be on iTunes. So you can go on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify. So all of our music will be on all of those, hopefully soon.
Now, are you doing any shows coming up in the near future?
Yeah, we actually have a show next weekend. We're leaving Saturday, and we'll be heading to Greenville, Virginia. It's on the border of Virginia and North Carolina. There's a small church down there that wants us to come and lead worship Sunday morning. So we're going to go down Saturday, set up, stay the night, and then get up early on Sunday and worship with them.
And do you usually, people check your Facebook page, I'll usually post the information on there?
Yes, we do. Yeah. We normally put events up on there. Mm-hmm. We also have a website. I forgot to mention that one. That's probably an important one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just cryforsalvationmusic.com. And that's a number 4, not the FOR. And we'll post it on there. We try to post it everywhere on our social media. And so you can just go on there and look or just message us.
But anybody that might be listening to this show, this is a band you ought to have in, because they're awesome. Now, a few minutes ago we were talking about the different band members, but there were 2 that aren't with us tonight. Tell us a little bit about them and how they came to be in the band.
Yeah, Daniel, our lead guitar player. I've known Daniel since preschool, actually. It's kind of crazy. I don't really remember him because I don't really remember a whole lot from that age. From being so young, but my parents and their parents know each other from preschool, and we have pictures and stuff together on the playground and stuff. Well, he moved away. I didn't really know it because I knew he was in my class, but I wouldn't really call us friends. But he moved away to Roanoke. Our old church, Hales Ford, does this big pig roast every year. We would always try to get a big football game going. Here comes this kid from, I think it was William Fleming, I believe is the school he went to. Here comes this kid and, showing us all up in football because Daniel's real good in football. And so this went on for a few years. And I know me and my brother personally, we were in football. We would always try to compete with Daniel and try to beat him. Then when I was a senior in high school, he moved back to Franklin County schools. And I had an English class with him. We became pretty good friends through the English class. And then, of course, we graduated, fade away. And he actually got a job at Kroger at Westlake where I worked. And so we started talking through there, and he explained to me, he knew I was a Christian, and he explained to me how he was trying to change his life around and wanted to live for God and such. And I said, hey, you play any music? And he's actually a drummer. And he started playing at Halesford for the drummer after Christian left. So I said, hey, well, we have a drummer, but we're looking for a guitar player. Do you play guitar? And he said, yeah, I play a little bit. And he showed me what he could play. And he could play a couple chords. And then from there, he said, I really want to be in this band. I have a heart and a fire for Jesus, and I want to play. So, teach me how to play guitar. And so from there, he's just blown me personally away with his musical ability. I could show him one thing, and he'll pick it up and just play it. He's starting to write all the lead parts for our music, and he's just becoming a phenomenal guitar player, especially in the time that he's been playing. He's been with us for a year and a half maybe, and so you got to think, from going from just a couple chords a year and a half ago to what you've seen at the show before or a couple weeks ago, he's definitely came a long way, and I think he'll be one of the best guitar players out there as long as he's willing for God to use him and push him through. And then so that's how Daniel really became in the band. We pulled him in because of his fire on heart. And man, I'll tell you what, that kid, he can talk to anybody about Jesus too. If you really want to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with Daniel, he will get you going. His fire inside of his heart it's massive. can't even describe it. He's
Wow.
just on fire for Jesus.
That's great.
Which is really good for us because sometimes, even being in a Christian band, we still get down, we still have heartache and struggles and stuff. And for Daniel to have such a big fire and just come around and wrap an arm around us and say, hey, everything's going to be okay, is very heartwarming. It keeps us very close to God because we still have to help each other out because, like I said, we all still have our struggles and sin and all that such that everybody else does.
Right.
And then we have Titus. Titus was really cool, actually. His story is really neat. Like Christian said earlier, we've had probably 100 bass players. So we had been praying and praying and praying for a bass player because we were rocking without a bass player for a while. And the bass just fills the sound in a band. If a lot of people don't know what a bass player does that are in a band, try playing without one. You can definitely tell a big difference. So, anyways, we've been praying and praying, and Daniel just so happened to have want to go get a car seat from AutoZone. Daniel said he didn't need a car seat. He just wanted to spend some money and go get a car seat. And when he goes in there, he starts buying the car seat and talking to the guy, and not about God or anything. And when Daniel went to go leave, he said, hey, you have a blessed day. And that's when the guy said, hey, you have a blessed day too. And do you go to church? And they just started talking. And Daniel said, yeah, I do. And I'm also in this worship band, Cry for Salvation, and blah, blah, blah. And then the guy, Titus, the guy, he said, hey, you guys need a bass player? So Daniel was just like, yeah, let me give you Matt's phone number. And so he called me. And we talked for a little while, and his heart was in the right place, and he wanted to worship with us. And so that's how Titus came along. So Titus was definitely a prayer answer for us.
Isn't it amazing how God brings things together in the ways you wouldn't even fathom in your own mind?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, you never expect to end up with a bass player when you're buying car parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Well, let's listen to another song on your EP. This one is called Your Glory Reigns, and tell us about that song and the way, most people, when they think that, they think it's going to be spelled R-E-I-G-N, but it's not. Tell us a little bit about that song.
That song is actually really cool. I really love the concept of this song. We spell it R-A-I-N-S, and when we first did that, when we first wrote this song, a lot of people told us that, hey, you guys spelled that wrong because they expect it the other way. And then when they actually listen to the words, it actually puts a picture in your head of this storm coming towards you. The lightning, the thunder, and then you can just see the pouring down rain. It comes towards you, and then it starts raining on top of you. And now I used the rain when I wrote this song as a symbol. When I originally started writing it, I was using it as an actual storm. I was going to, just have it rain and trying to figure out where to actually go with it. And as I prayed and thought to myself where I really wanted this song to go, there's a song by 10th Avenue North called Don't Stop the Madness. And as I listened to that song, I was in a church worship band, and we were trying to sing that song. For some reason, I couldn't stop singing it. And that song spoke to me, and I said, hey, I like that concept of that song. I kind of want to go there with this song. So I took Your Glory Reigns, and I made the rain a symbolism for pain or suffering or whatever it is, just pouring down on top of you. Everybody goes through struggles. Everybody goes through sin. There's just no way to avoid it. It's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so... same thing with the thunderstorm. When it rains, it's going to rain. You can't stop it. And so I made that as symbolism for getting on your knees and, lifting your hands up and praising Jesus through the storm, And 10th Avenue North song, Don't Stop the Madness, it explains, keep the madness coming, keep all of the pain and stuff coming, because through all of that, a lot of people become closer to Jesus. And so that's really where the whole Your Glory Reigns went to, was the storm pouring down on top of you, and you saying, don't stop the storm, keep it coming, and I'm still gonna worship you. Your glory will reign no matter what struggle, no matter what pain I'm going through. Your glory will reign.
And I see a storm coming for me, and I see lightning spread across the sky, and I hear the thunder roaring like a lion, and it started pouring on me. I started singing on my knees. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. The skies open up, the storm has gone away, and I'm on my knees begging, Lord, let it stay. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down. Your glory rains down on me, down on me. Your glory rains down.
Now, I want to ask each one of you individually, what are some artists or styles of music or songs that, in particular that have influenced you or are your favorites?
I have to say for myself, probably I stick more to the female artists versus than the male artists, but I have to say probably Francesca Battistelli. I really like the way she performs. I've seen her multiple times, and I look up to her in the way she performs, and I also really like Natalie Grant too. But those are probably my top two.
All right. So my influence, you like you said, you could definitely hear it in Bright Light Shine. I grew up listening to a lot of old school rock and roll. And some of the first songs I learned to play on drums were some old school, just like some Beatles stuff and some of the Allman Brothers stuff. And but my influence is really big because my dad is a drummer, and he raised me to always have a just vast, extensive, musical appreciation. Don't turn anything down just because it's a certain genre or because it's something you might think you're not going to like and you turn out to like it. So I grew up listening to everything from rock to reggae to hip hop and R&B and funk and jazz and just all of it. And my mom, she's a big old school rock fan of like 70s and 80s rock and roll. She loves like Def Leppard and Aerosmith and stuff like that, and she loves older country music, some of the like Hank Williams Sr. stuff, and so just I've had influence from probably every possible direction. So coming into like the last 5 to 10 years, listening to all the worship music, it's really just changed drastically. I mean, from the 90s audio adrenaline stuff to now is just changed so much. But a lot of the stuff that influenced me on this album, I tried blending a lot of different things together from I listened to a lot of Ringo from the Beatles and a lot of Bob Marley. And on the track You Are Yahweh, you can hear it because the whole time I'm playing what's called one drop reggae rhythm, where you play the snare and the kick at the same time instead of alternating back and forth beats. So I guess my influence is just basically everything that's been done over the last 50 to 60 years. I've probably listened to at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big, music fanatic. Any kind of band out there, I could probably tell you a lot about them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess some of the big influences that I guess look up to, one of my biggest ones would probably be About a Mile. Those guys are just awesome. We've seen them at Winter Jam, not this year, but the past year. They were one of the opening bands, and I don't know what it is about those guys, but I absolutely love them. They really influenced me with a lot of my music. I try to, sculpt some of my stuff the way that they do stuff. But let's see, I got 10th Avenue North. They're another big one. We actually play a cover song from them in our set list called No Man is an Island. And let's see, we got all kinds of stuff. Need to Breathe. They're another big influence. But, I mean, the list just goes on. And you can really tell it in our music, too. When you listen to this EP, some people, they come and ask us, what does our music sound like? Who do we sound like? We can't really give them an exact person that we sound like. We can't say, we sound like Need to Breathe, because we don't. We just sound like 10th Avenue North because we don't. We sound like us. We're a very unique band and try to throw a little bit of everything in there. So if you ever come to a show or buy our EP or maybe our next album, you won't get just one style of music. You might get a bunch of styles.
Well, what are your each one of y'all? What is your one of your favorite scriptures?
Me personally, I'm definitely a big fan of Romans 1:16, and that's actually over the last couple of years, really over the last decade, become a big verse in Christian music. And I know Lecrae and Reach Records, that's basically their anthem. And it's I'm not ashamed of the gospel because of the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. And I love this verse because I feel probably one of the biggest problems with modern day Christianity is there's so many people, I guess they're very lukewarm with their faith, that their faith is affirmed, but they don't, they're not out there preaching about it, they're not out there sharing it with everybody, and a lot of people, I guess, are just ashamed of that or nervous about it or don't feel comfortable talking to people about it. And I've even I've been there myself and I know what that's like, but I love this verse because it just affirms that we shouldn't be ashamed of the gospel, and we shouldn't be ashamed of God. because without Him, we don't have salvation, and that is just, I mean, that's everything. That's the biggest bombshell in the existence of humanity, is that without God there is no salvation. And so I try to, be proud of that, and let everybody I know that I come in contact with, what's going on, talk to them about my faith. And we do that through our T-shirts. And I guess after they do Matt and Hannah do their verses, we'll come back and we'll talk about our T-shirts. But that's just a big thing for me, is being proud of my faith.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite verse, I've had a few, but I think one that really has stuck out to me lately is John 1:5. It says, the light shines through the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome the light. And so that's also kind of where Bright Light Shine was originated too. And it's really cool because, you take darkness and you shine a flashlight through it, and the darkness can't overcome that light. And so Jesus is your light in your life, and through all the darkness that tries to attack you in your life, just let Jesus be your light. And, the darkness can't overcome you if Jesus is your light in your life. So that verse really sticks out to me.
I'd have to say that my favorite verse is probably Philippians 4:6. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. In different translations, sometimes it'll say, don't be anxious. And for me personally, I suffer an anxiety disorder, and this just speaks to me. And, when I have anxiety and I just have to remember that it's okay you have to pray. And I think that's what a lot of people have to remember. When you are in a tough situation or you're uncomfortable, your first thing isn't, I need to pray. It's, let's freak out. And, that's one thing that everybody needs to remember, is just to pray to God, because God's got it. And we need to let go and let God.
We're going to listen to one more song before we go here. This is a song called, and I love this song because it says it all. It's called "The Price Was Paid." Tell us a little bit about that one.
The Price Was Paid was actually a really cool song when I was writing it. I had been praying, this was kind of when we almost first started. We've had this song for a good little while. And I had been praying for God to send me something in my heart to speak out and write on paper. And little did I know, Jesus thought it would be an awesome idea to set these words on my heart very early in the morning. I woke up probably around 2 or 3 a.m. and I was trying to go back to sleep, and I couldn't. I just had these words in my head. The blood was spilt, the thorns were placed, the nails were nailed, and the price was paid. And so I, quickly jumped up and said, this is God speaking to me. I need to, get up and listen and write what He's telling me. And so I just started writing about Him being in Calvary, our Master at Calvary, and being killed. And then I thought to myself, well, why did He do this? I've stabbed Him in the back. I've not listened to Him. I've done all kinds of stuff that I shouldn't have, that God doesn't want us to do. And so why did He do that? And so in the song it says, why did Jesus, give His life for us? And so it simply just keeps going on and saying, the blood was spilt because they beat Jesus. They beat Him really bad, and He was bleeding. So the blood was spilt. The thorns were placed. They placed a crown of thorns on His head. And so the next one is the nails were nailed. Jesus had really big nails nailed into both of His hands and His feet. And then the price was paid. Jesus died for us and rose again. And so the whole concept of the song is basically around the death of Jesus and what He has done for us.
All right, well, let's take a listen to that now. This is Price is Paid, and again, this is Cry for Salvation. So tell us about this neat T-shirt that you have.
Yeah, so we have this one T-shirt. It kind of started as a funny concept to us, and the shirt says, "Ask me about my Jesus," and it was nothing really serious when we came up with it. It just sounded good, so we put it on a shirt, and they just exploded. I mean, we couldn't keep them ordered quick enough to sell them to people. They were just selling like hotcakes. We realized what a big deal the shirt was, because the hardest part, I think, personally, for the average Christian, the hardest part about their faith is sharing it with other people, just blindly with strangers and people you don't know. And a lot of people would wear these shirts out, and you're going shopping, going out to eat, just doing whatever they do with their daily lives. People were coming up and asking them, just because the shirt says, "Ask me about my Jesus." So they'd be like, "Oh, shoot, well, tell me about Jesus." People, and a lot of people that weren't even really interested or, affirmed in their faith, they just, read the shirt, so they had to ask. And it has made a bigger difference, I think, than a lot of other things that we've done, because it's completely left our hands, and it's just spread out. And anywhere someone goes and wears that shirt, it's almost guaranteed that someone's going to ask you about Jesus. And I love wearing it out in public, because, a lot of times I feel socially anxious or just shy to talk to a complete stranger in line about Jesus. You don't just, walk up to somebody at Bojangles and go, "Hey, let me tell you about Jesus," because, you're afraid they're going to look at you funny, or they're just not going to want to have anything to do with it. So you wear the shirt out, and you can literally just go out and do absolutely nothing but walk around in that shirt, and you will be, I promise, you will be talking to somebody about God every time you wear that shirt out. And it's just a fantastic thing that I think has come out through us. We call it the icebreaker shirt, because you wear it and it breaks the ice with the conversation. People are always willing to talk to you about it, and so it makes things so much easier. And we love those shirts, and we love what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really cool. We actually get a whole lot of feedback of people will message us and say, "Hey, I was just sitting at Bojangles and eating some, Bowberry biscuits, and some random stranger just come up and asked me about Jesus." And then the really cool thing is a lot of these people that do it are just people trying to mess around. Just say, "Hey, what about your Jesus?" And, our cousin is actually one who said he got a guy that actually did not believe in Jesus. He just asked him and was actually able to lead him to Christ,
Wow.
which is really cool, because, that's our T-shirt out there spreading God's word by just sitting on a T-shirt. And so it's really cool to be a part of that and to experience that with all the people that wear them. So if you get one, we definitely encourage you guys to message us and tell us about the people that you were talking to Jesus about, because that's just, it's awesome that something that simple that we made that we didn't think was going to be that big of a deal has blown up so big, and that God has used us in the T-shirt to spread His name and save lives just with a T-shirt.
Wow,
that is cool. I should have gotten one myself when you guys were here. Are they available on your website?
We can. You just message us and we'll send you one. We sell them for $15, and that's not making a whole lot of profit. Our band is strictly not about profit. Some bands are like that, that they're all out for the money, but we're out for just getting God's name out there. But we sell them for $15. If you want one, just message us, and we could definitely ship those to you. Well, I'm still working on trying to get our website to be able to get us a store actually up to where you can order stuff off of our website.
Cool. And again, tell us again online where people can find you.
Yes, we have our Facebook. You can actually just go to Google Cry for Salvation. Our Facebook is the first search engine that comes up. We have Instagram, Twitter. You can go to our website. That's cry4salvationmusic.com. You can email us at cry4salvation@gmail.com. There's CD Baby. Our music's up there. Hopefully within a week, our music will be on iTunes, Amazon, and Spotify. So there's a number of different places that you'll be able to look us up. We're also working on trying to get our YouTube page up, going more. We haven't used it a whole lot, but we've talked about trying to do some videos and put our music up on there and such. So you can just keep an eye out on there. There's some really old stuff on there if you guys want to check out what we used to sound like compared to now. We've definitely came a long way. God has definitely used us in some incredible and some awesome ways.
Well, I hope he continues to do that, and I wish your band much success. I just enjoy your music, and thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been a real blessing.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's edition of Victory Talk Radio. If you're on Facebook.com, please go to our Facebook page, Victory Talk Radio, and like us while you're there. And I'll see everyone next week. Thank you for listening.